We're here because we're very excited to announce the opening of 2 Youth Connection Centers this summer. They're one on the east side, one on the west side. Collington Square Recreation Center, that's at 1409 North Collington, and Lillian Jones Recreation Center, which is at 1310 North Stricker Street. The YCC will be open on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights from 10 p.m. through 3 a.m. I'll be asleep. Starting tonight and running through the last Sunday in August, because by then our children will be back in school, right? Well, close. Yeah. Well, close. We might have to keep it over that weekend, too. And youth that are observed in violation of summer curfew hours by the police will be transported to a YCC. The YCCs represent a collaborative approach to ensuring the safety of young people during the summer months, providing supervision, holding parents accountable, and connecting vulnerable families to support services, because we want to make sure that we're helping and not hurting. The YCCs are the culmination of careful interagency planning between the mayor's office, the police department, our city schools, school police are back there somewhere, recreation and parks, the Department of Social Services, the Department of Juvenile Services, and the Mayor's Office of Employment Development, which is very important, by the way, because we had 12,500 young people who applied to work this summer. I think we're up to close to 11,000 already being funded. That was raising $18 million for our young people. I should announce also that we're going to have a summer teen challenge to start their own businesses this summer. So we've got a lot of things to keep children actively engaged. The YCC will conduct an assessment of each juvenile brought into the center to determine their needed services for the juveniles and their families. Staff will coordinate with the Department of Juvenile Services to determine whether the juvenile is in compliance. I hate to say juvenile, young people. Our youth are in compliance with any monitoring conditions, as well as to identify diversion opportunities. The YCC will provide youth with a safe, engaging, and healthy environment, including recreational opportunities, while they are waiting to be picked up by a parent or a guardian. And youth not picked up at the end of the night will be transported home. Okay. By city law, summer curfew hours go into effect today, May 26th through midnight. Summer curfew hours are in effect through the last Sunday in August, even though we may extend those. Under the curfew, no minor 14 to 16 years of age may remain in any public place or establishment between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. the following day. Curfew for children less than 14 years of age and year-round. That's in effect all year round. Okay? So no minor less than 14 years of age may remain in or about any public place or any establishment between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. the following day. So does that mean that if we see them, we get to call you as well, or to drop them off, Councilman?
No, they will have to.
Okay. So having said that, I'm going to have our councilman share a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I just want to say that, again, I think that the mayor hit on the most important part. This isn't about gathering a bunch of kids. This is about the most vulnerable, as the mayor said, the most vulnerable children. And these are the children that you see in the Youth Connection Centers. And I also would like to point out that this is also, these YCCs are not just kids that are picked up by the police. Oftentimes these are open and young people choose to walk in there to participate in the opportunities and the activities that are going on in there. The key is the connections. In previous years when we were doing this, way back when we just had one curfew center at North Avenue, this was simply about gathering kids, and we then learned that we had to connect these children. These are the children that are most vulnerable. Actually, yesterday I was at a middle school talking to a young man who was robbed simply because he was walking late night by himself. These are the type of children that you end up in a curfew center. You'll see young people as little as 3 or 4 years old who are out 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and that shouldn't happen in our city of Baltimore, especially when you think about the situations that they are in and that parents are putting in by allowing them to be out that late at night. This is what this is about, making these connections to these families. Again, I also would like to hop on the point that no longer is this a criminal offense. Parents cannot be held criminally responsible. This is about connecting them to services and their families in lieu of fines and citations so that we can make sure these families are whole again. So I thank the mayor and everyone here today for trying to bring this back and make sure that we do it the right way. Thank you. Okay. And I'm going to pass it over to Commissioner Davis.
I think he's this way.
Thank you, Councilman, and thank you, Madam Mayor. At the direction of the mayor, and thanks to her leadership, she insisted that Youth Connection Centers not just be a police department or school police department responsibility. She really insisted that the entire city government get engaged. So as Councilman Scott described, we were in a position to connect these young people who certainly are vulnerable with the help they need so they don't return the next night, or they don't become victims of crime, or they don't engage in criminal activity or other mischief. So we're looking forward to a really good summer. This is a good news announcement today. The government is engaged, we're coordinated, we're determined to help our young people, we're determined to help their families and their parents make sure that they get to Labor Day with their loved ones safe, sound, and productive. So we're looking forward to a very good summer with our young people in Baltimore. And I think I'm now passing it over to our CEO of our public schools, Dr. Santelises.
It's called collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. Boom.
Thank you. I just want to continue to thank the mayor for her leadership in terms of making sure that we as a city are meeting the needs of our young people. As Councilman Scott and my partner, Commissioner Davis, have already stated, this really is a collaboration, and City Schools is truly pleased to work with our colleagues in the Baltimore City, along with Mayor Pugh, to really help ensure the safety of the young men and women in our city. It's important for everyone, and especially our families, to understand, and I'll just underscore again, because I don't think we can say it enough, that from our perspective, we too believe this is about the safety of our young people and helping to protect them from dangerous situations that occur all too frequently on our streets. Now, in addition to the school police participation, or I should say, in addition, school police, under the leadership of School Police Chief Ham, that he will describe, city schools will have school support services representatives at each center, and these representatives will use the city schools database to identify students, check their enrollment status, and really offer support as needed. And this includes an opportunity for many of our young people to re-engage with schools who might be currently disengaged from school. So we see that also as an opportunity. And then we'll also have support for our students in connecting them to a year-round job, which I know we will hear about later on. I will just reiterate again, we're pleased to be part of this opportunity, this partnership under the mayor's leadership, as we really try to make this a safe and supportive summer for our young people. Thank you.
Next.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to be a part of today's announcement. Ensuring the safety of our young people throughout the school year is my primary goal of school police. We welcome the opportunity to continue that endeavor throughout the summer months. My officers and I talk with young people throughout the school year about making wise choices and keeping them safe. As we approach the summer break, I encourage our young people to continue to make those wise choices. One of the most important choices they can make is to obey the nighttime curfew hours. They have been enacted to keep you safe. The Youth Connection Centers have also been established to keep you safe. City School Police has a supervisor and 3 officers assigned to each Youth Connection Center. Our officers will be on site to ensure the safety of all of the staff and students who are brought into the center. Finally, I wish all of our young people an enjoyable and safe summer. Thank you.
Who's next? Yeah. Oh, go right ahead, Bill.
Thank you. The Department of Recreation and Parks is really happy to be part of this collaboration on the youth curfew centers. We're thrilled that we've chosen 2 recreation centers to house the curfew centers. We're going to give the kids something to do when they come in until their parents come bring them up or pick them up. And I'd like to take this opportunity to announce that with the mayor's encouragement, we've identified 9 other recreation centers that we're going to keep open for extended hours on Friday and Saturday nights. You know, right about the time where these kids have other opportunities for maybe getting into mischief. We're going to give them some other things to do. And I can read 9 rec centers: Cahill Rec Center, C.C. Jackson Rec Center, Chick Webb, Ella Bailey, Greenmount, Morrill Park, Robert C. Marshall, Rita Church, and Roosevelt Rec Center are all going to be open until 10 o'clock on both Friday and Saturday nights. A couple other things I'd like to mention. Tomorrow, as the mayor mentioned earlier, we kick off the swim season out at Patterson Park. Yay. Summer camp. We've got 3,000 youngsters signed up for summer camp already. We can probably accommodate a few hundred more. So we're close to our goal. We've got 1,000 kids signed up to play BNBL basketball. So lots of activities at Recreation and Parks, and we're happy to be here as a provider of positive, healthy activities for the youth. Thank you.
Can you state your name?
Bill Vondrasek.
And
You spell that for you.
You want me to spell it now? VONDRASEK.
and your title?
Acting Director of the Department of Recreation and Parks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, who's the next headliner? Jason, the jobs guy.
The jobs guy. Afternoon, everybody. I'm Jason Perkins Cohen. I'm the director of the Mayor's Office of Employment Development. So, 1 month from today, about this time of day, we will have thousands of young people who will be finishing their very first day of YouthWorks. And for many of them, it'll be their very first day of work of their whole life. And under Mayor Pugh's leadership, with the help of Councilman Scott and the others behind me, we want to make sure that this is the beginning of something great. We want to make sure that every young person that registered for YouthWorks has a job opportunity, and that is a launching pad to a lifetime of work and earnings. So as a reminder, YouthWorks, again, is a Baltimore City summer jobs program. It is for young people ages 14 to 21. They work for 5 weeks, 25 hours a week. And it is not too late, since we have a month to go, to get more employers to register for YouthWorks, to get more young people hired. And they can do so by calling this number, 410-396-JOBS, or, and I don't do the website by heart, or they can register online, baltimorecity.gov/HireOneYouth, and HireOneYouth is one word. So we're excited to be part of this partnership. We're excited to give young people great, successful summers. Thank you very much.
All righty, so there you have it. We're off to a great start for this summer. Bill, when's the Druid Hill Park pool open?
Tomorrow.
Oh, that's tomorrow too, so both. He said Patterson Park, Druid Hill, Patterson Park, open.
And Riverside is the last one.
And Riverside is the last one. So I just want to remind you all, this is all of the agencies collaborating together because we believe that this is the right thing to do. At 11 o'clock, everybody should ask themselves, do you know where your children are? Because you should know, and we want you to know. But more importantly, we want to make sure that they're safe this summer, that they're being very productive. I also want to take a moment, Ally, to announce that we have not only a youth call to action, but we're also going to have a call to action just to make sure that we're covering all grounds. We know, for example, that we've got 92. I was able to get 92 groups this summer, just focusing on youth. That was $3 million in youth funding programs for this summer. So we got a lot of activities that are going on this summer. We want our young people to know about them. But the business challenge for young people, and I'm just giving them a heads up, you know, get ready, get prepared. If you've got an idea, whether it's a pop-up shop or something that you think you're going to be good at, we're going to have some funds just to fuel those businesses for young people. So I'm saying this to the squeegee kids especially. We know you all have some entrepreneur talents. We want them to come in. When's the first, is that June 1st when they can come in? June the 1st, come in and sign up to pitch your business on June the 10th. Your business idea, and we've gathered some funds to fund several of those opportunities this summer. So again, we want our children to be safe, we want them to be productive, we want them to be in school, and we want them to be ready to go back to school, but this summer we want them to have a great environment. Thank you all. Anybody have any questions?
Mayor, can you comment on another subject?
Well, let me let these folks go.
Do you want to add questions on this topic?
Yes.
I have a question on the topic.
Okay.
First, in years past when the curfew centers opened or the connection centers opened, sometimes there was some pushback from some of the rank and file about, remember the police union saying things about like, well, we're not supposed to be babysitters, why are we doing this, that kind of thing. How are we making sure that the officers are actually carrying out this mission?
Okay, we'll let the commissioner speak on that, but it's all about public safety. But go ahead, Commissioner.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. It is all about public safety, and I haven't heard any of that pushback. We've been having this conversation with our command staff for some time now as we've geared up to this summer. It is our responsibility to ensure that 14, 15, 16-year-olds, and certainly those younger than 14, are not out after 11 o'clock on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, or any other night of the week for that matter, because they're likely to be a victim of a crime or to engage in mischief that may lead to criminal activity. And if that's not the job of the police, I don't know what is. So I don't anticipate that type of issue at all this summer. I think everyone's excited to get started.
And then in next year's budget, there's a $70,000 cut. It's eliminating youth connection services to the curfew centers. Can you shed any light on how that will impact this program going forward?
Well, let me just say that we're going to fund the centers, whether it's privately or publicly. We do have some money in our Baltimore City Foundation that can be helpful as well. And so I'm not worried about how we move forward, because we will. We think that this is very important. I tell folks that, this is our first budget year, and, we're making some changes, we've made some changes, but more importantly, it's how we protect our children and make sure that they're productive, and we will make sure that we do that.
Madam Mayor, Councilman Scott touched on it briefly, but if you could elaborate a bit on the kids that these centers are targeting. Can you characterize for us the type of children who need these type of centers? The type of children who are out at that hour. Who are the children that the centers are targeting?
Well, let me just say, I don't think we're targeting. What we're trying to do is provide for, I'm just saying, we're providing for, because that's a terminology people associate with bad behavior or something like that. Well, what we know is that there are children who may be out. Some of them may be out for reasons that we don't clearly know. Some of them, parents may not be home, and so they're out. I know when I was a child, we were told that we had to be in by a certain hour. So, it's not a category of children, it's all of our children. This is an opportunity to make sure that all of our children are protected. And there are vulnerable populations we know out there, whether there are babies raising babies or teenagers who are just not being protected like we think that they should be. And this is just another arm of protection. This is the city saying that we want to protect our children. We want to make sure that their needs are being met. Because remember what we said, this is not just coming into a center and sitting down. This is coming into a center and getting connected. And I think what Councilman Scott said a little bit earlier, some choose to come into these centers because they get connected to resources. Whatever we need to do to protect our children and to provide for them is what we should be doing. And this center is just another avenue to do that. I don't know whether you want to add to that.
Madam Mayor, and just to add to that, Keith, someone that used to work the centers when I worked in the mayor's office, when you see the young people that come in there, you'll get 5-year-olds, you'll get 10-year-olds, 10-year-olds who will tell you that they came here on purpose, they got picked up on purpose because they haven't eaten all week and they know that we're going to feed them. Or in the most recent case, we had a young man who said, I know my mom's a prostitute and I want help. These are the type of children that you're dealing with when you get them in the center. Or a young lady who Chief Hammond and I interacted with a few years ago who was pregnant and thought she was going to have to drop out, but school support services were able to tell her, no, you don't. We can put you in accelerated classes so that you can graduate with a high school diploma. These are the type of young people that you interact with, and they're going through things that they shouldn't go through at all, let alone alone. And that's where we're so important to have all the agencies there to connect them. Because when you have a 5 or 6-year-old child who said they hasn't eaten, or they don't have clothes, or they don't have lights at home, then something clearly is going on at home. And the only way that we're ever going to know what's going on in that child, they're not going to walk into their school and tell a teacher. They're not going to walk into a rec center and tell a rec center person. They're not going to just tell anyone. The only way that we're ever going to know anything about these young people that I'm talking about is if they come to the center and they feel comfortable talking to the connectors and other people there.
Thank you, Councilman Scott. And as the mayor said earlier, this is definitely a good news story. But in terms of the centers, again, really briefly, they're relatively still new for Baltimore City. Not that old. Can you give us a bit of info of how successful they've been in terms of the numbers of kids that they have helped? Like, for example, last year, the number of kids that were helped, the number of kids that were actually connected to these services. Do you have any idea what?
Yeah, I don't have the numbers from last year. I don't have the numbers for last year. I don't know if you have the numbers for last year.
Just how effective have they been?
But what we do know is that they have been effective because you just heard a few stories just here, connecting children to services, giving them back their self-esteem, as it relates to the young lady who thought that she would have to drop out of school, who learned through the center that she doesn't have to drop out of school, and even just being there to provide services for them and to connect their families. So, I think if you help one family, if you help 10 children, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that we're there. And we think it's so important that we've opened up these centers and will continue to provide this kind of service for the citizens of Baltimore.
Mayor Rawlings Blake had talked about having 9 centers, growing it out from 2 to 9. Do you have any? What do you think about that idea? Is that something the city can do?
Ooh, it's a lot of money, but let me just say, but here's what we do know, and I think Bill has alluded to that. We're opening up our rec centers. We're going to keep them open till 10 o'clock at night. And that's 9 different recreation centers. We're also expanding the hours of our libraries as well, because we want to make sure that our children have access to computers and so forth. The other thing, and I think you pointed it out to Councilman Scott, is that we're providing meals for young people all summer long. And whether it is going to be it will be in these sites, but we also are providing different sites throughout the city. I was over at Umar Boxing Center the other day, and I said, you ought to be a feeding site because you have so many young people who are coming in here, so we're going to make sure that that happens. So that's happening all around the city. Whatever resources or the gathering of resources that we need to gather to make sure that our children are productive this summer, that's what we're going to be about doing.
Madam Mayor, it sounds like the city is putting their money where their mouth is. How much is this costing? Because it sounds like you guys are very serious about this.
Well, let me just say that the centers aren't costing us a great deal of money because we're talking about our agency heads collaborating and making sure that we provide those services inside these and using people on our staff. And we look forward to anybody who wants to volunteer in these efforts. But this is just a part of the services that the city is going to provide. The expense becomes, as our reporter over here was pointing out, is how many will you do? And so as we open up these 9 rec centers till 10 o'clock at night, we get to see what some of that expense would be. For the most part, it's keeping the lights on. For the other part of it, it is making sure that somebody is there physically and also that the environment is safe. But the services are something that we're committed to doing. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
If the police commissioner could say also.
Would you stay, Commissioner?
I wouldn't have it
Thank
any
you,
other way.
everybody else. Thank you.
So some of your officers will be there. How many? I know that the school police said a supervisor and up to 3 officers on site. Do you have a number of how many police officers may be on site?
I do. There will be a police sergeant inside, and the entire rest of the patrol officers who are working will also be committed to identifying anyone who's violating that curfew.
But a sergeant will be
A
staffed.
sergeant will be static, yes.
Madam Mayor, can you comment on the latest indictment, police officer indictment?
I think that would be for the police commissioner.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. It's not an indictment, it's an arrest. It's a criminal charge that began when the Baltimore Police Department became aware of some information about a police lieutenant who was not at work when he was supposed to be at work, and he was not on leave. And we also became aware that that lieutenant was also putting in for overtime that he didn't show up to work or earn. So it was a self-initiated BPD investigation. I made a commitment a long time ago that when we come across allegations of criminal misconduct, that we are not going to shy away from those criminal investigations. In fact, this was our criminal investigation, and it was the Baltimore Police Department that criminally charged one of our own for violating the trust of our entire city.
This came after there was the indictment of the 7 officers on overtime, fraud, and other charges. a forensic audit that you
Yes,
ordered.
yes.
What does it say that someone in the midst of all this, with this in the news, and obviously on the front of everyone's mind, would go ahead and allegedly do the very thing under this kind of scrutiny? What does it say about the supervision and how he was able to get away with it for at least some time before it was caught?
Well, let me just say, we also have a forensic audit that is about to go forward, so we may learn some other things as we move forward, and this will be an outside audit. It's going to cost us quite a bit to do it, but at the same time, we think it's important. But, you know, for the most part, and I think that we can say this, that the majority of our police officers come to work to protect and serve, and we believe that that is the job that most of them do every day. And so while, you know, we don't expect that one bad apple will, or a few bad apples will spoil the entire bunch, we are grateful that we have a committed police commissioner who understands what it is to have the trust of the community and continues to move in that direction. And for that, I think we, the citizens of Baltimore, are grateful. Thank you, everybody.
One more topic.
Yes.
So this week, New Orleans is tearing down the Confederate monuments.
Yes.
The previous mayor put up signs, but said she would leave the decision ultimately up to you.
Did she?
Yes.
Did she say that?
What do you think?
Well, let me just let me be real clear. You all know that it's been 6 months. DOJ, school system, you name it, we've tackled it. This is another one of those things that we will tackle as well. Well, here's what I do know. New Orleans has taken on this issue. It costs about $200,000 a statue to tear it down. In fact, I think their cost for their 3 statues are $600,000. So I don't know whether we auction these off and get somebody to come in and take them down. But, you know, I think the studies have been done, or at least the conversations have been had, that the city does want to remove these. And so we will take a closer look at it and see how we go about the business of following in the footsteps of New Orleans.
So does that mean that you would like to see that at least the 2 recommended taken down?
The 2? Oh, it's only, so it's 2.
There's 4, but the commission recommended taking 2 down.
We will probably move forward. Got to find that money. That's why I was thinking maybe we can just auction them. Who knows?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.